Hello and welcome to Fight Town podcast with Sport the Song with myself, Alex LeBox, and Rob Boxing Shrew. Rob, how are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Looking forward to this.
Excellent. Yes, absolutely fantastic. And to start off this podcast, we are going to talk about Neilson Boxing in Liverpool, which was just a fantastic night on top of the Shankly Hotel. I mean, the scene was set. We've spoken about it an awful lot, but let's have a look at the night, Rob. It was just fantastic, wasn't it?
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I love Liverpool as a city anyway. So to be able to tie that in with my first experience of a Neilson Boxing show on a rooftop overlooking one of my favourite cities in the UK, I just thought it was mega. How did you find it?
Yeah, myself as well. It's the first time I've been in Liverpool. The city is just absolutely glorious. It's fantastic. It's fantastic to be there. And Nelson Boxing just put on just a scintillating show, really. It was just, the atmosphere was there, the lights were there, the ring looked fantastic. And the boxers on display were just top class. I was very surprised to see that sort of quality on the card. But the boxers on display were just fantastic. And where best to start, Rob, then with Adam Carbury, who is being trained at the moment by Martin Murray.
Mm-hmm.
He looked very good, didn't he, for his third pro fight at Super Feather. He looked very good in the ring, didn't he?
Really calm, like really calm. I love those divisions anyway, the smaller divisions, and he just felt his way into it. And as soon as he found that opening in the third round, he got him out of there, and it was clinical. And there was a bit of early Martin Murray about him as well. I found, about that clinical finish. But yeah, obviously, you spoke to him afterwards. He was chuffed, wasn't he? It was his first stoppage win.
Yeah, he seems like a really nice guy. And I mentioned to him, like you just touched on, Rob, he felt his way into the fight. Rounds 1 and 2, he was pushing that jab out, and it was very controlled, and he looked comfortable in the ring. And then come round 3, he just decided to stick it on. And what Adam said in that interview was that, he likes to fight on the inside. He trains for that. He feels that's where his skill set is. And like you said, it's very Martin Murray-esque. And it obviously Martin Murray's, feeding that into his fighters, and
Yeah.
yeah, he looked good, and it was a good result for young Adam Carberry,
And
and I'm
he's out again
sure.
soon.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was checking a box rec earlier. He's actually got a date already at the beginning of October, so they're going to keep him active. So yeah, one to keep an eye on.
exactly. And another fight, I think you interviewed Leon Willings, and at the super middleweight against a boxer who was making his debut in Badur Karami, and that was
Mm.
some war, wasn't it?
I love that fight. I think bar the main event, I thought that was fight of the night. It was just a war, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
the cleaner work was obviously Leon, but he just didn't know what he was going into. He was fighting a guy who was in his debut, and I said, like you said, I interviewed him afterwards, and he just didn't know a lot about him. So going into that unknown is, he probably didn't expect the war that he had, and off the back of his first loss as well. So to get back to winning ways, he was absolutely chuffed with it, and I thought he was going to get him out in the last round as well. He caught him with that left counter. There's a video that our mate Dan put up on Twitter. I'll share it again later, but
Oh, it was
of that
fantastic.
left hook, and you can hear me and you go, ah!
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
it was
It,
just
it,
out
it
of nowhere.
it was literally sheer T-Rex Jurassic Park screaming from Rob. It was, "Rah," this massive roar. It was fantastic. You have to watch it.
Mm.
Sport this song and Fight Town podcast listeners. We'll put it up on Twitter later. You've got to have a listen to it. It was great. But also, the counter shot was fantastic as well.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that.
He
But
underplayed it as well. Like he said, oh, I don't know if he slipped onto it. He didn't slip. You caught him
he
perfectly.
caught him. And Karabi was an interesting character, I thought. He was
Mm.
like Leon alluded to, he was a very strong guy, but his punching was extremely awkward. And I mean, I shouted at the ref, I got a bit too involved, and he was slapping
Yeah.
Leon on the back of the head. And, at points, there was some very dangerous punching going on, which was being aimed for the back of the head. And it's not nice to see in professional boxing. And,
Leon
for
kept his cool
me,
very well.
for me, I think Leon Willins, as tough as he is, and he was lucky not to get a real punch on the back of the head there, but he came through unscathed, and he sort of beat that fight out of Karami, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And what you said there, some of the tactics weren't great, and Leon did keep his cool there, and because the atmosphere in that last couple of rounds was as good as the main event, wasn't it? It really ramped up, and I think just everyone in there appreciated what a fight it was.
Yeah, and another great fight at the super flyweight was Marcel Braithwaite versus Stephen Maguire. I thought personally, Rob, that Marcel Braithwaite just looked fantastic in there. He was slick. He was picking his shots well. He was throwing those awfully hurtful body shots in. I mean, they were thumping from ringside. You could really feel the crunch as they went in. Hats off to Stephen Maguire for standing his ground in there, because he was absolutely getting, I'm not going to say he was schooled, but he was getting a real beating in there, wasn't he?
I would say he got schooled.
Okay, no, fair enough.
I would say he got schooled. I thought that they were just classes apart, and that's no disrespect to Maguire. He served a purpose, and he was a tough man. But the golfing class was there, and to be honest, I think Marcel played with him a little bit. He probably could have put the pressure on a bit more and took him out of there, if I'm honest. I don't know if you agree on that, but he got some great rounds in the bag, and Marcel's been in with some great company. I think we spoke last week. He's been in with Sonny Edwards, Jay Harris, amongst others, and he'll be looking to push on now. He isn't going to want to carry on fighting, guys, with all due respect of Maguire's level. But you caught up with him afterwards. What did he have to say?
Yeah, I mean, he seemed very buoyed. It's his fourth win on a row, and as we know in boxing, momentum is absolutely key. It was his fourth win in the row. He was calling out a few names, which is good to hear. I think it was a Suma who he was calling out.
Somber, yeah.
Stomba, sorry,
Yeah.
and he also mentioned someone, Mr. Sonny Edwards, which was interesting. But he seemed confident, and he seemed really pleased with his night's work.
Another nice lad as well.
Yeah, absolutely lovely lad, and he was great to watch in there. He put on a very good display. So it's looking good for Marcel Braithwaite, and he's back on that winning run, and I think his camp was very happy as well. But Fight Town podcast and Sport Disong listeners, we are later on in this podcast, we are going to be talking with the main event, which was Jack McGann. We've got an exclusive interview with him that's coming up, and also we're going to preview the York Hall event on the 9th of September, and we're speaking to a debutant, aren't we, Rob, in Deevorn Miller. That is coming up later on in the show. Now, what other fights happened in Liverpool, Rob?
Well, chief support was Brad Strand against Alexandru Lanita. Lanita's a tough guy. It went to points. Brad won every round, I think, on every card, and I think it served its purpose. He got some very good rounds, and it was extremely wide. I mean, it got to a point where some of those rounds could almost have been considered 10-8s. It was complete dominance, and I mean, I know there were a couple of other points wins on the card, but I would say Brad Strand's of the points wins was probably the most dominant.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. Brad Strand looked good, and like you said, Lanita was a very tough customer, but it was a good to see Brad Strand get another victory under his belt, and he's a good boxer to watch, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's under the Queensbury stable. They think
a
lot of him, and he's gone 8-0, and he's going to kick on very well over the next couple of years. Interesting to see some of his stable mates ringside as well. A couple of the lads from Liverpool were there. Andrew Kane, Nick Ball was ringside. A couple of I think the McGrail brothers were there as well. One of the McGrail brothers. So it's great to see that they come out and support their own as well, because considering a few of them are in and around the same division, so you never know, they might have to fight each other one day. But it's good to see.
Yeah, it was good to see. Now, we are going to speak about the main event with the man himself, Jack McGann. But just to touch on it, Rob, I want to just firstly say Liverpool on top of the Shankly, you were amazing. The atmosphere was something that I've not really experienced at boxing. You go to the big shows and you hear the crowds, but this was something else. This was excitement, and they really got behind their man McGann, didn't they?
Yeah, it gave me goosebumps. The ring walk was was amazing, because despite it being on a rooftop, the ring area was actually quite enclosed, wasn't it? So it just created this box of noise, but just the noise had nowhere to go. And yeah, it was very, very loud. And as McGann went through the gears, it just got louder and louder until the stoppage came. But yeah, really good performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Sport to Song listeners, like I said, we are going to push on into the fight with Jack McGann himself, but he's an exciting boxer to watch. He's got that power. We've spoken to him before, and he said, it's not something he works on. He just has it in his locker. He's had it in MMA. He's brought it into boxing, and that's dangerous. It's always a dangerous attribute to have in boxing, and he showed it against Advinas, didn't he? And I think he might have knocked him down 3 or 4 times in the end.
Yeah.
And there was a bit of gamemanship from Advinas, which we touched on with McGann when he was spitting his gum shield out. But he was just in with a ferocious raw talent in Jack McGann, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was class. And for him to put a show on like that after the previous fight didn't go through with him for him, and the first time he's fought in Liverpool, it just, the stars aligned, didn't they? And it just created a brilliant atmosphere, and a night he'll never forget.
Exactly. And like I said, we are going to push on and talk to Jack McGann about that particular fight. But moving forward, Neilson Boxing are back at the famous York Hall on the 9th of September. I believe tickets are still available for this. It's a cracking card, isn't it, Rob? Let's have a look at that card. Where should we start first?
Should we start from the top with Jake Henty?
Yeah, Jake Henty against Dwayne Grant, which, as we know, we've watched Dwayne Grant fight before against Liam O'Hare.
Yeah.
He's a tough customer, isn't he?
Yeah, just a tough man. Gives people rounds, doesn't get stopped as often as a lot of journeymen. And I say that with all the respect in the world as a journeyman, I think Jack McGann has actually been in with him before. Jack McGann was one of the guys who actually stopped Dwayne Grant, so it's going to be a good test for Jake to get those rounds in. If he can take Dwayne out of there, it'll be a good night's work. And he's only 2-0, so yeah, both of his previous fights have been at York Hall as well, Jake. So it's a home from home at the minute for him.
Yeah, and I like Jake Henty. I think he's an absolute class act. He's gonna be in some wars. There's no doubt about that. But it makes boxing exciting, doesn't it? When you've got a come forward boxer who's not afraid to let his punches go. It's what we sort of go to the boxing for. We want to see it, and I think Jake is going to be in a lot of those types of fights, isn't he?
Yeah. And Dwayne Grant is not a journeyman, but stands there and takes a beat, and he'll come forward and he'll put it on Jake.
Yeah, indeed. And moving down from that, we've got a super featherweight contest with the fantastic Charles Frankham. He's fighting Christian Lopez Flores, who I'm not sure we know too much about. He's been in and around the boxing ring, that's for sure. But it should be a good test for Frankham, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Lopez, I've had a look into him, and he's bloody active. This is actually his 14th fight since April last year.
Wow.
So he's out a lot, and he's got a mixed record. But he's won 13, lost 19. So he's not got the worst record in the world. But yeah, Charles Frankham's going to be in there to look good on Friday night. He's won every fight. He's not called Boom Boom for no reason, So. Yeah, again, it'd be impressive if he can take Lopez Flores out of there, and yeah, hopefully it'll be the last of his 6 rounders as well. He's done a few of them now. Perhaps this will be the last one before he potentially steps up to an 8.
Yeah, no, fantastic. That will be exciting to see. We've also got Johnny Ward fighting in that fantastic division of light heavy. Johnny Ward looks good, doesn't he?
Yeah, I like what I've seen so far. I've watched a few clips over the last week or so. That division is a joke. We've said it on the Sport the Song podcast a few times, haven't we? Nationally, internationally, it's an incredible division, and it'll be a welcome addition to that. As he goes through the gears and gets towards title level. He's in against a guy with a losing record, Alexandrov. been in with quite a few British fighters, notably Nathan Heaney last year. So he knows his way around the ring on British shores. But yeah, I think Johnny will have too much for him.
Yeah, and Fight Town podcast listeners, as you're well aware probably already, Neilson Boxing, when they put these matchmaking bouts together, they are usually, you know, not always 50-50, but they are certainly fights that are worth watching, aren't they?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the opponents they pick are people who aren't just going to stand there and take a beating or take a knee, as we've seen in other cards nationwide. But you know, they really are there to put up a fight, aren't they? So
just a couple on the undercard as well, like further down the card that I'm looking forward to. Saqib Khan against Carl Turney. This is an intriguing one because not to put any pressure on Saqib, but Saqib is 3-0, so he started well, but he hasn't won by stoppage yet. But he's up against a guy who has never won, but he's only ever been stopped once in 33 fights. So this is going to be really interesting because if Saqib can go in there and stop this guy, it'll only be the second guy that has stopped him, and it'll be his own, it'll be his first stoppage win at York Hall. So yeah, I'm quite intrigued by that one. I like looking at records and patterns and stuff like that. So that'd be pretty interesting. And the gentleman that we're having on shortly for a chat on his debut as well, Deevorn Miller.
Yeah, and you know that's going to be fantastic to speak to Deevorn Miller very shortly on the podcast. You'll hear that. I believe he's fighting at heavyweight for this fight against
4 rounds.
Jake Darnell. So
yeah, do you remember Jake Darnell? Do you remember Jake Darnell? He was the guy who made his debut against Fraser Clark on his debut on the Calm Brook undercard earlier this year.
Right.
And he's fought 9 times since then.
Blimey,
I know it's amazing how they get out so often sometimes. But yeah, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, it will be very, very, very interesting. And as you look down the list of the card, you've got Harry Mullins, who's 5-0 against Faizan Saeed in the Superfly division, and Lorenzo Grasso against Eligio Palacios and Balraj Singh against Vasiv Mamadou.
That's a stacked card, isn't it? That is a big card. Like, what was that, 9-10 fights? That's incredible.
It is a big card. I think they amalgamated the last show and this one together. But you know, fight fans or people looking to go to a boxing event, you know, Neilson Boxing, as we know, are putting on some absolutely fantastic show. And this is a packed card with some absolute talents. Yeah, I mean, I'll be down there, so pop down and say hello to myself. I'll be interviewing the boxers post-fight. Very much looking forward to that. It's going to be a fantastic evening. Now, Rob, have we got anything else we need to touch on before we go and speak with Deevorn Miller and, of course, Jack McGann?
No, I think we're good. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Right, moving along in the Fight Town podcast with Neilson Boxing. We've just spoke about the York Hall show coming up on the 9th of September, and we have a guest on the podcast now in Deevorn Miller, who is making his debut on the show in the heavyweight division. Deevorn, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, it's not a problem at all. Thanks for coming on. And it's your debut, I believe, at the York Hall. I mean, that is some place to make your debut, isn't it? How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I'm happy. It's the home of boxing. So I'm just excited really to get in there and finally get my debut going.
Yeah, brilliant. Congratulations on the debut coming up as well. With regards to the weight we were looking on BoxRec earlier, it said that you're going in at a heavyweight. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm going heavyweight. I'm a cruiserweight. However, there's hardly any cruiserweights who want to take the fight. So I'm fighting a heavyweight for my debut.
Straight in with the big guys. Yeah, absolutely. So you're in with Jake Darnell. He had a very high-profile debut, didn't he, on the Brooke Khan undercard? Did you get to see that?
Yeah, I saw that. I know Clark, so.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What did he tell you about him?
I didn't ask anything about him. I don't need to get any information.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. It was interesting.
Yeah, it was. He's been very active since as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, very active.
Yeah, superb. Just before we move on, for those who haven't seen you before, in the amateur game, talk us through your style. What are you about?
Easy way to probably put it is I use my speed, my power, and angles is probably the way to describe me. It's a bit hard to describe how you fight without seeing it, but
yeah. No, it's good,
fantastic. Man. It sounds. And Deevorn, just quickly going back, you mentioned the York Hall being the home of boxing. I take it you're like myself. You're a Londoner, and you've grown up, and we've all grown up knowing about the York Hall. And it's just going to be, from my point of view, lacing up the gloves in those dressing rooms and getting out there and being in that sort of environment. It's just going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm absolutely thrilled for you. It's going to be, it's going to be great for you to do that. Are you looking forward to walking out and getting in that ring?
I am. I've had a weird mindset because I was meant to debut in July. Kind of not really felt like I'm actually going to have my debut until I'm in the ring. So I'm not overly excited until I'm actually in the ring, and then I've come out and got my victory. I think that's when it's going to kick in rather than get too much excitement beforehand.
Brilliant. What's your first camp been like? Obviously, I'm sure that's a very new experience for you. Has it been a prolonged camp because you thought you were out in July? How has that panned out?
Yeah, it's been kind of like a prolonged, delayed camp. But it's only really put me in a better stead for having my fight now because I've had a little bit more time to just develop.
Yeah. Fantastic. And if all goes well, God willing, on Friday night, are you looking to get back down to cruiser when those opponents are ready for you, or are you open-minded with regards to the heavyweight side of things as well?
I don't mind. November, I want to get out hopefully again, and I don't mind if it's heavyweight or cruiserweight. I'm not a giant, so I wouldn't really fight any giants because it just doesn't make sense. There's many heavyweights around the bridge weight classes where I could fight.
And Deevorn, just touching on that, is it a case of this opportunity's come up? It's in the heavyweight division. You thought to yourself, let's just get it done. Let's get in there. If it's heavyweight or cruiserweight, that's sort of gone to the wayside now. It's a case of just getting in there and boxing and getting it, getting out of the way.
Yeah, it's not really. It's more of the option of there's not really anyone else to fight. I'm not going to say I'm going out my way to fight heavyweight, but they haven't got anything on me, like skill wise, power wise. I get in there with the big boys anyway, so it's to me.
Yeah. Have you done a lot of sparring with heavyweights?
Yeah, I've sparred many heavyweights and cruiserweights over my time.
Yeah, superb. And who have you got coming down to watch your debut? It must be important to a lot of your friends and family.
Yeah, I've got quite a few people. I think because of that fall through of my last one, it's kind of made some people not really get as excited for this one because I had a lot more sales on my first announcement. Also, this on a Friday, but I've got quite a good support coming along.
I'm sure they'll get well into it once that first bell goes, mate.
Yeah, it's gonna be
brilliant.
Listen, Fight Town podcast listeners and Sport de Song listeners, it's a debut for Deevorn Miller. It's in the heavyweight division against Jake Donnell. It's going to be a fantastic fight. I'm going to be there on the night, Deevorn. I'll be cheering you on and having a nice backstage interview after. So we'll catch up with you then, Deevorn, and all the best and good luck.
No problem. Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
Nah, no problem, Deevorn. Good luck, mate. Hope it goes well.
Cheers. Thanks.
Cheers. Thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Hello and welcome to Fight Town podcast with Sport This Song with Alex and Rob as usual. But we do have a special guest on the podcast today in Jack McGann, super welterweight, coming off the back of a fantastic victory in Liverpool. Jack, welcome to Fight Town podcast. How are you?
Hi lads, I'm very good. Thanks for having me on.
No problem at all. All rested from Friday night in Liverpool?
Yeah, I'm getting there. Like I always say, it takes me whenever I don't know about anyone else, but whenever I fight, it takes me about 4 days to start feeling normal again. So I'm getting there now. But yeah, I'm over the moon.
And give us a quick insight, Jack. You mentioned that you're eating again. How does it feel to have those full meals after a fight?
it's amazing, but like the same again. I can only speak for myself, but straight after the fight, the first few immediate days, I'm allowed to have it, but I still get a bit of guilt as it's going in. You know what I mean? It takes a while for that to shake off, but no, I'm definitely relaxing.
Let's face it, the dedication to the sport of boxing is something else, and that's why, as boxing fans, we all love it so much because it is such a dedication, isn't it? So, and it's a lifestyle as well.
Yeah, I think this time though it was just a bit, it was a bit more earned because I was supposed to fight in July and that fell through. So basically, I done a camp for nothing. I done a full camp and then didn't fight. I had like 3 weeks off where it ticked down a little bit, but didn't let me hair down or stop training or anything, and then rolled straight onto this one. So it's been a long road, but yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously getting into the fight, it was a long camp for you, like you said, and you made it. It was well documented. You really wanted to go in there and make a statement on Friday night, given a location and the build up to it. So talk us through it. Obviously, Ed Venus is a tough guy. He'd only ever been stopped once, and that was 5 years ago. So what was the mentality going into that fight?
I just first of all, I'd have to thank Ed Venus for stepping up the way he did because we had. I was originally supposed to fight JJ Evans and he dropped out because he had some management issues or something like that, and then we couldn't get the match made because people kept turning it down. A similar story to what happened in July. So Ed Venus did come in and save the day. Having said that, even though he took it late, watching that fight, there's no way that he come in off the couch. He was trained up, he was sparred up, he was there, you know what I mean? So I just in my head, I had it in my head thinking, he's probably going to be here for the full 10 rounds. That'll be good for me to do. And I know as long as I box him, I can make it.
Yeah, and just to say there, Jack, obviously myself and Rob were at ringside for the fight, and it was an impressive stoppage against an opponent in Ed Venus who doesn't get stopped. Well, he rarely gets stopped, does he? He's a real sort of hard fighter. It shows that at this weight you do carry power, don't you? Is that something you've been working on in the gym?
No, I've always had that. In me MMA career, out of me 11 wins, I had 10 of them were from KOs. So, and I wouldn't smaller gloves and everything, but I've always been able to hit really hard, and I think the only time I haven't stopped people in boxing, I had a fight with Kevin McCall, who's like the best journeyman about. He doesn't get stopped by anyone really, and then the other ones were at super middle for same day weigh-in. So everyone I've fought at me proper weight, I've got to them and I've got to them early. It's not as if like I've got to them late in the fight when exhaustion and fatigue comes into it. It's when they're fresh and I'm stopping them. Do you know what I mean? So I've always known that like I'm a monster at this weight and I carry a lot of power there.
Yeah, and that showed straight from the off. Obviously, there were a few knockdowns, a couple of them very early, first and second round. Obviously, we had a quick chat after the fight, didn't we? And I said that I asked you if you thought that you might get him out there quite early. Obviously, you've had a chance to reflect on it now. Do you feel that you settled down, took your time a bit more after the first couple of knockdowns?
No, as I said before, I've stopped a lot. I've stopped enough people to know when someone's really hurt and when they're hurt. So when he was going down, he was taking big shots, but he was taking a knee. So I was thinking, it's not worth diving straight on you because you're still there. You know what I mean? So I was, but at the same time, I knew that I was getting to him. So I was just knew to take my time and the shots were coming, and I just didn't have to rush it. You know what I mean? And then to be fair, on the second to last knockdown, I thought, if you go down again, the ref's going to stop him anyway because he's not going to keep letting you go down. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
And it was quite frustrating in between those knockdowns, Jack, with the gum shield incident. Have you come across that before in boxing? It seemed like a bit of gamemanship, didn't it?
No, spitting the gummy out, is an old trick people do. Actually, he done it once and I thought fair enough, and then he done it a few more times, and I was like, come on. And then this is a first for me and a first I've seen.
I know what you're gonna say.
The gummy was out, and he split us up into the corner. He put me in my corner and was in front of me talking to me. And I was like looking at him like, what are you doing? And then he put a gummy in my mouth. Mine was already in. He put his gum shield in my mouth. I said, what are you doing? It is. I said, tell him.
I think everyone in the crowd saw that as well, but the referee didn't.
Yeah. But no, I think. But then at the same time, I was looking at it going, if he does it, because I think he had 2 points to off him, and I thought if that comes out again, he's gonna get disqualified, and that'll just do me head in that. That would have pissed me off. But
yeah, it was quite funny. And Jack, just before we move on and talk about rankings in boxing, you have made that cross from MMA to boxing. Are you enjoying boxing more, or is it just a different type of sort of combat sport?
Do you know what? A few years ago, or even a while ago, if you would have asked me the difference between, I probably would have sat here and tried to break things down. But after competing in both, in my opinion, they are just completely different. The apples and oranges, you can't compare them. That goes with the training, with the prep, with the fights, with everything. I know you're still getting in there and you punching someone and you're having it, but it's in my eyes they are completely different sports.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're okay.
To answer your question, no, I think when I still train MMA and I still do jits and kick and punch and roll and wrestle and everything, but I do miss it. It's like my baby. Like that's what I grew up doing. You know what I mean? And I'm good at it. It's just I'm on this path at the minute. And the plan originally was to jump back and forth, but COVID sort of messed that up a little bit. But I'd still love to do an MMA fight again. I'd love that. It'd have to just fit and make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that door isn't going to close, is it, for you? You know, you've got that background. But just wanted to ask as well about the event as a whole. I mean, it was the first time you'd fought in Liverpool, if I remember rightly, and the show was so unique with the venue. Obviously, Neilson Boxing and Power of One put on a fantastic event. What were your thoughts on the event as a whole?
Oh, it was amazing. It couldn't have gone any better. It was, as I said before, that fight fell through in July, and then they were like, okay, well, next for the next one, we're gonna try a new show on top of the Shankly. It's never been done before. And I was like sitting there going, no, please don't try that. Let's just do something safe. I don't want. So the whole time leading up to this fight, I was just waiting for someone to ring me and be like, this has come up, you can't do it. And it all clicked and come together, and it couldn't have any better.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. Everyone who went there had an amazing time. It was nice. It was like classy. It was different. You know what I mean? It was special, and especially to me, I haven't fought in Liverpool since I was 16. So that's been a long time coming. I said, leading up to the fight in July, that never happened. Someone asked me like, what's it always like fighting away? And I said, it's got to the point now where I wouldn't want to go back just for a normal fight. I want to go back for something special, like a title or something like that. And then this definitely ticked that box. So, in my career, it's it probably is my favorite night.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think we spoke to Mark Neilson on the night, and I concur with him. The atmosphere, especially during your fight, Jack, and towards the end of it, I've never experienced an atmosphere like that in a boxing event in that small sort of confined area. It was just electric, and like Rob said when he interviewed you, it blew the roof off of the place. And it was just, for anyone who hasn't been to boxing shows, Neilson boxing shows, just get down and watch them, because you really do get that true atmosphere of boxing, don't you?
Yeah, it was, my last two fights before this have been in York Hall, which is renowned for having like the best atmosphere going. That smoked it. That blew the roof off it. So yeah, it was definitely it was the same for me. I never feel the crowd. I could feel the crowd there. It was just completely different. It was amazing.
What's it like when the crowd is so hostile in your favour like that? I mean, I know a lot of boxers say that they do zone out, but you must hear that. I mean, what's it like being in there and being able to keep that clarity of mind when you've got madness going on around you?
That's the first time I've probably had that where it's been for me. You know, I've fought all over Russia and everywhere else, and I've been away fighting and all that. And I think that's the first time I've had it where they was all cheering. I was like, yeah, these are all here for me. But it did it like it spurred me on. You know what I mean? It probably made me fight a little bit more than I should have. But
you need to get back there.
Yeah, it definitely helped me.
But
Would you do it again?
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the thing, Jack. You know, at the end of the day, when it comes to pro boxing, as I'm sure you're aware, you know, it's about entertaining the crowd, and you certainly do that. And we saw that more so than not on Friday night. Now, just a quick one, moving along. Let's talk about rankings, because you have pushed through the rankings very quickly. You're currently sitting at number 12 in that particular division. Is that something that, you know, surprises you, or something that you're proud of? How do you feel about that, sort of sitting at number 12 in the rankings at the moment?
Well, no, I always take it fight by fight, but I've if you look at my fights, I think that's my 8th, I think, in boxing. And if you look at all my opponents, I've never took an easy fight. I hit the ground running and took tough fights from the word go. You know, I've never had no amateur fights. I started on a 6-rounder, and then I've gone from there. So we've always pushed the rankings in, and the reason being for that is because of my MMA background. I didn't need a couple of years getting my feet underneath me fighting journeyman. So yeah, we've always wanted to fast track it, but in an educated way, by doing nothing stupid. We took the right fight at the right time, and Ed Venus was just another case of that. You know, his record doesn't reflect how good he is. You know, he was 140th in the world before our fight the other day. So he's quality, and me stopping him, that got me even further the rankings. But yeah, I think we've always played the ranking game, and that's the way we've always tried to push our motive that way we've always tried to get me in a position to play in the rankings. You know what I mean? Picking the right fight, the right time, the right opponents, that'll get us there. Then we'll be there. Then that'll be next. And that's the way we've looked at it, and that's what we're doing now.
It's a stacked division as well, isn't it, in the UK? I mean, I was going through the rankings today, and you know, Eggington, Smith, Troy Williamson, Cheeseman, Metcalf, Josh Kelly. I mean, it's a stacked division, and you know, before long, you're going to be knocking on the door of these big fights. I'm sure you take a keen interest on the division. Who do you like in that division, and who do you see yourself in with one day?
Well, you know, I always say that this division and middleweight, the reason they're always so stacked in sports is because it's like the average weight of a man. It's like 12, 11 stone. So the talent pool is so deep because it's so dense. But at the same time, in England right now, all them lads, it's red hot. You can't in the top 15, even in the top 20, you don't get an easy fight. They're all solid opponents. So you can pick names from a hat and you'll pull out a belt. So I just know that. I don't know when, but whenever I do get to that position where I'm taking a fight like that with any of them, or echelon of the division, I'll be ready for it, and I just gotta trust my team, and everyone for that. And I think Martin Murray, my coaches, is he's right the front with the range on that, and he always makes the perfect call. So I'm sure to trust my team and just keep taking it fight by fight. But you know, everyone I've had since I've been back from COVID, I've blasted through them, and that's the way I see it going moving forward.
And Jack, having someone like Martin Murray in your corner, in your gym, you know, he's been there, he's beaten the best, he's come up against the best. That must be such a confidence boost to have someone like Martin Murray behind you, mustn't it?
Yeah, and you know, it's even in that's my second fight with him, and even in the way he is in the corner with me, it's just unbelievable. I've never had someone in that minute give you such clear instruction and tell you exactly what you need to hear, whether that's bad or good. Like sometimes he tells me off, but it gets the right message across. But the work that he puts into me and to Adam Carbury, the other lad he's got with him, is he's a saint. He is. He's a star.
Yeah, literally a saint.
He just wants the best for us as well. And I think that one of the big things is that he is so fresh off his career. It's not like he's talking like some big fat fella who's never done it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He knows it all. So even some of the stuff that he says about fighting, I wouldn't expect someone to say that, but he's not scared to say it, and you get honesty all this. You just get an honest, genuine fella who's just helping, and it's gelling. It's gelling well.
Brilliant. You mentioned there Adam Carbury. Quick shout out for him. It was his first KO win at the weekend. You must have been chuffed for him.
Yeah, I was made up of that. It was his first 6 rounds as well. So that's another one. You know, I think he was just a bit not nervous going to it, but it is a step up. When you take your first fight with more rounds and he got to stop it. So I haven't seen it like because I was getting warmed up, but I'm over the moon.
Clinical. Yeah, it was clinical.
He worked hard as well. Martin puts us to it, and we're always there. We don't miss a session, and we put the work in, and it shows.
Superb.
Listen, there is absolutely exciting things coming out, not only of Liverpool, but obviously St Helens with Martin Murray in that gym. Just before we go, Jack, is there a message to the fans? We spoke with Alfie Warren after the fight. He's saying that you're going to be a superstar. Is there a message for boxing fans out there that you want to give them?
Just in regards to everyone who come on Friday, I can't thank everyone enough, and you've made it special. I know that everyone had a great time, but everyone there gave me a night that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. So I can't thank everyone enough for that, for the continued support. But as far as my fights in the future go, if you go and look at my last 3 fights, you won't find no one in boxing who's at my weight who has fights as exciting as that. So I'm just going to keep taking the fight by fighting and keeping that going. I've got and hopefully we can finish to a big end of the year and come into 2023 flying.
Fantastic. And you said yourself in that interview, Jack, I'm a TV fighter, you said. So, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that's it. Well, as I said, just look at my last 2 fights. I feel like I've really hit my stride now. And as I said, with the help of Martin and my sponsor, Samantha Hutchinson, the Power of One, and the positions that she's getting me in, and Neilson Boxing, that it's all just working and coming together. And that's what I'm seeing.
Fantastic, Jack. Congratulations once more for that fight on Friday night in Liverpool. And when you're pushing for those titles, make sure you come back on the show and speak to us at Sport to Song.
Oh yeah, I will, mate. 100%. Thanks again for having me on.
Congratulations, Jack. Thank you. Cheers for coming on, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Lovely. Take care.
See you after.
Thank you. Bye.